I welcome you all to this opening session of Art Cafe Season 4. It's going to be online on the weekends. And I request everyone to put their phones and their computers on mute if you're not going to be presenting. And I request our president, Mrs. Raji Narayan, to do the formal welcome and brief us on the Art Cafe. So Raji, over to you.
Yeah, a very good evening to all of you, all you friends, our friends here today. A hearty welcome from ArtMantram. Lovely to see you all again after a long, long time, even though it is online, sadly. We all know that the pandemic disrupted our lives globally, but to keep out of this gloom of this recently announced weekend lockdowns, we have launched Season 4 of the Art Cafe. You'll all remember that we had put up nearly 40 online varied events since the government announced the initial lockdown from March 23rd of 2020. And then we also had the Art Souk online, where we, to eke out an income and facilitate artists big and small, we had we sold artworks online at the Art Souk. And then now, even though we cannot meet up in real today, we hope these Art Cafe sessions, which we have planned, generate a positive energy amongst us, create togetherness, sharing journeys and passions. The core working team of ArtMantram, the executive committee headed by Ms. Jija Hari Singh, our trustees like Lakshmi Ishwar, are always thinking of new ideas, of presenting different events, continuing with ArtMantram's goal to promote patronage and awareness of the arts. We start Season 4 with an evening of poetry. I request Lakshmi Ishwar from the Writers' Table Literary Mantram to take over.
Thank you, Raji. Thank you. Thank you, Raji. Nice, very beautiful. Whenever there's a lockdown, one thing that surely happens is the Art Cafe. So the main objective is to socialize, entertain, and share amongst our friends of Mantram. And this season of Art Cafe is a mixed bag indeed. Each day we pull out from the bag a virtual treat. Food for thought on day 1, that is today. Feast for the eyes on day 2, that is tomorrow with the saris. Something for the soul on day 3, that is the 22nd. Exercising our vocal cords on day 4, that is Antakshari. And we close on day 5 with a deep dive into tradition and heritage to share stories of our past. The Glass House Poetry Festival 2nd edition is also being planned in April by ArtMantram. And please watch out for more details on this. Now coming to today. Today we have poetry reading by few poets of the Writers' Table. Writers' Table is a vibrant vertical of ArtMantram comprising of poets, writers, and storytellers, each of them spinning an intricate web that beckons us all into its fold to be carried away to enchanting locales, savoring the nectar of their creations. Writers' Table is ably led by my very dear friend, Rugmani Prabhakar, who is here today. She is the chief go-to person, always thinking of what new to do in Writers' Table. She is ably supported by yours truly. Rugmani has structured the Writers' Table into 2 groups to cater to 2 forms of creative work. The Poetic Society, which has the poets in it. This is headed by 2 brilliant poets themselves, Shaji Nair, who is present here, and Purobi Chowdhury, both of them are here. The prose section is called Folks and Tales. This has been lovingly put together by our Kala and Shubhangi Singh. Kala is here, I think. Shubhangi, I'm not sure. So you will experience their work next week on 22nd. Today, 6 of our poets will share the outpouring from the deep recesses of their heart. So you are welcome to post your comments and appreciation on the Zoom chat as the poetry is being read. After all the poets have completed the reading, we'll have some time for audience comments. If you would like to speak at that time, please do indicate it on the chat and I will call you one by one. For your convenience, Rugmani will display the poem that is being read on the screen, so the words will hopefully come alive for each one of you. Now it is time, ladies and gentlemen, to sit back and enjoy the creativity of our awesome poets and get some nourishment for the soul while sipping your favorite beverage, Art Cafe. For this is season 4, day 1, Art Cafe. Enjoy. We start with poet, I think share screening by Rugmani and the poetry can start.
We'll have Pavitra introduce her poem and then I'll begin screening.
Sure. So I'm going to be reading a poem called Keeping an Account. This is a poem about the price that we pay as we go through our lives. It's about Judgment Day. It's about the final account of our lives and how sometimes we are a little short-sighted in the way that we look at the narrative. But we are actually the most powerful people making these choices for ourselves as we make our way through our lives. So that's a little bit of background about the poem. And whenever we're ready.
Yeah.
Keeping an account. We're all a little bit broken because that's the price we pay. We grate off every ideal notion in living from day to day. I think this is love. I found it. Here, exchange my token. But hearts, they were meant to be broken. That's a truth one must admit. But forswear it not, or you're doomed. Your forebears will bear witness. It is a blooming heart of darkness, beleaguering until you're entombed. Hold not that heart so close. No more can you pretend. 'Tis time you paid for what you chose, the lonely start of an end. And when a calling comes the reaper, make sure there's not one bit of loving left in that bloody ticker. Use every last kernel forthwith. Bring it all in, because there's no price they'll pay, and you won't live to see another day. Each crack, each jagged piece, each memory that brings you down to your knees. Because when you're walking through the infernal realm, you're no master, you're no longer at the helm. It's your day of reckoning, and the tally has begun. It is too late to repent or do what you left undone. And as they count the pieces, light glinting off each edge, each hurting, haunting memory from the depths they'll dredge, you'll see the paths you took, that long, winding road, and the ones you forsook, and when you broke the code. Because that's how we got broken. That's why we pay the price. We grate off those ideal notions with our unseeing eyes.
Great. Thank you. Yes, Rukmini?
Brilliant poem.
We're moving now to Anil. I'm just looking for Anil so I can pin him. Over to you, Anil.
Yeah, like all of us here, I live a life which is here and now, and I live 100 other lives in my mind. And in those 100 other lives, I fall in love every day with somebody. And I build my stories around them. And this poem, Coffee Gone Cold, was written to one of my loves from those 100 lives. Here goes, Coffee Gone Cold. I have so many things to tell you in 1,000 silent words when I finally meet you and the coffee in its cup goes cold. Even if I only just stroked your fragile, delicate hand I'd be holding you entirely in a tight, unending hug. Oh, would I gaze into your liquid eyes, trying in vain to fathom them? Would I breathe deep enough of your aromatic breath and listen to those curls hum a happy song as they caress coyly your dimpled face? I ask myself again and again if we ever have met. And I'm sure we have, time and again. Not merely sipped from many a cup of coffee gone cold, but from life itself, across so many light years, across galaxies and millennia. And we had gone our separate ways until this very moment when we forget the coffee in its cup gone cold. Thank you.
It's so beautiful, so touching, Anil.
Wonderful, wonderful, Anil.
Thank you.
Lovely poem.
Now we are moving on to Anuradha. Anu, can you introduce your poem, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this is written in 2020, again, just when the COVID had started. So it seemed to me like we were all sitting, with a plate, and we had all these lovely dishes in our plate and we were enjoying it. And then suddenly this new thing comes. And then you didn't know what to do with it. There were things which you hadn't ordered in your plate. You're like, no, this is not mine. Whose guilt is this? Why am I feeling this guilt? There is shame here. I didn't order for this. This is not mine. This kind of a mixing of emotions, I remember at the beginning of it. Now we are we've become a part of it and probably even desensitized to it. So there was an overwhelming feeling of emotions which are not yours, also coming into your plate, and you didn't know what to do with it. So this was my way of trying to understand what was going on with all these new rules and experiences and protocols, and some of which I really didn't agree with. So I call this Somebody Meets Nobody. The planets have just arrived, homing in to a grand conjunction. The sun sputters in a cold embrace. Time braces itself. It's a long march ahead. It's February. All is not well, and yet well. A mustard bottle slips from a grasp, crashing in childish glee. Ruinous delight onto a kitchen floor. An innocuous sleeping nymph rasps awake to a locustian plague. An impending deluge dances into existence, waxing now, hesitating, waning in desperate prayer, and now rising fast as though forgotten to fall. Somewhere, somehow, an engine slips a track. A farmer crashes to his knees. A child rolls in tantrum as winged locusts swarm raucous human minds. It's February. All is not well, yet well. Few ripped open, coveted blindfolds of apathy. Clipped wings gleam like secret codes in the newborn light. Someone's desire plotting in someone's but me. Someone's guilt morphing into everybody's shame. Somebody's bottle thirst rising as anger in another. somebody's unbridled anger melting into compassion. Somebody's eyes and ears parading as mine. We're all in it together. Somebody, nobody, and yet no one but me. No one but me. In the distraught farmer and the hapless trader, in the analyst who was analyzed and the engineer who was engineered. Oh, poor farmer, I cry, hanging by their debts. But could I have my sun-dried tomatoes, please? Cinnamon waffles and wine-poached pears. No avarakai, no tondakai, no chikrikai. Just my Pepsi, my pizza, my burger will do. It's February, all is not well, yet well. And so the great burning, churning, spewing a farmer, a migrant, scrambling through sun-struck highways, walls, trees, rooftops, in polished silver cups, in guilty scoops of organic pulses, bell peppers, in dressing room mirrors that never lie, never sly. The great burning, churning, up against thousands of men who forgot their women and women who twirl themselves into mustaches tight. I, me, they, hand in hand we sat, unmasked in each other's lap. Somebody, nobody, and yet no one but me. Come, unto my kingdom a level playing field. Shed your tears, claim your space, rich, poor, ugly, blue, black, green. Shed your fears, they knew no better, the bold and the beautiful, they no richer, the Rockefellers. Blessed are you, rich and poor, wailed the Christ. Poor of guilt and shame, anger and fear. Weep now, because you see the knot of pain wedged in pretty frocks, a bow, a ponytail. A knitted brow, a pursed lip. You knew no better in sweet slumber. Come unto my kingdom, a level playing field. No ladders here on Judgment Day, racing you to heavens. This is the very nectar once divided amongst the gods. This, the sighting of the boulders you chose to embrace. This, the vision of the baton they threw, the baton you chose to retain. Embrace it one last time, your boulders of slumberous pain. Shouted Kali, the fierce one, the black one, the only one. Somebody, nobody, and yet no one but me. It's February. All is well. Now, place it gently in the lantana bush by the roadside. Slide it into a sudden sea breeze by the seaside, or into an anthill to be promptly carried away. Under your pillow for the fairies of Lo to gather at dawn. Give it unto me, unto the mirror. My yoke is light, please come unto me. I am your love, light. And yes, shed your masks, wear a distance, a gratitude, until compassion arises, until Padma Sambhava, a Christ, or an Allah, an I, or an I. Thank you.
Overwhelming, Anu. Overwhelming. So many different
Anuradha, really wonderful, profound, echoing a bit your grandmother, I should say.
Thank you so much, Jija. Good to remember them. Good to remember our ancestors. I mean, the knowledge that they had. So grateful to them.
So now we move on to Purobi. Purobi, I'm looking for you. You ready?
Good evening, everybody. all members of ArtMantram, and members of the Poetry Society. It's wonderful to be here, and thank you for inviting me to read. My poem is inspired actually by another poem called They Are Kissing by Nobina Das, which had been read at another event. I knew Nobina as a young student. She was my junior at university. I don't really see myself as a poet, but just as a voice that resonates. I think poets are either born of evolution or of revolution. The birth. Before we were writers, we were just girls with dreams. We had never heard of screams in the dead of night and of little girls raped by mountain streams. Before we were writers, we had never heard of a voice. We were taught to concur confidently, lest we pay the price. Before we were writers, we lived somebody else's dream. A father, a brother, a husband, a mother, a son, a daughter. Till one day we picked up the pen. No day was ever the same again. We were born and born and born yet again as the words came spilling. Thoughts gestating, waiting and wailing to be heard, crashing through the floodgates of fear. Unabashed, cascading from the depths of our being, telling our story like it was. For the very first time, we were seeing the unfolding of our being. The Birth by Purobi Tara Chowdhury. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Every time I hear this, it sends a shiver through me every time.
Thank you, Jija.
Thank you, Purobi. I come on next. A little background to the story. So I work in the developmental sector for about 24 years. I've been working with the vulnerable, and there's no boundaries or borders to determine who's vulnerable and who is not. You could be from any socioeconomic background, but when that vulnerability hits you, sometimes you need help. And I've been in this space of supporting and helping people like that. After we returned to India about 10 years ago, I headed social development for the organization that I volunteer for, the Art of Living. And I traveled the country and worked with the most vulnerable people across the country. And a lot of work I did was with girl children, abused women and girl children. And so it's about part of what we do also. There's a lot of revival of Vedic tradition. And at the ashram every year, the Navratri celebrations happen. 9 days of absolute bliss. And as the Devi energy would rise, I would pray that this energy goes to protect every woman, every child, or any vulnerable person who needs that help. So this poem I wrote after Navratri last year. There are lots of young girls who don't make it, but this is a story about a young girl who made it. She's created in my mind. I've said it in first person because that's a connection that I felt with her. The poem is called The Night the Stage Was Set. The night the stage was set. They said I was weak. I no longer cared. My spirit was strong and I was prepared. I knew in my heart, my instinct was right. My woman's intuition, my strength and my might. The rapists came in, all set was the stage. My head was held high in contempt and in rage. They were men that I knew since I was a child. My uncle, my cousin, my father, all vile. I, an object they saw. My mother was dead. No one to protect me. I turned inward instead. My Devi, my Shakti, my Durga Kali, they merged in one form and they took over me. The tigress, she growled, my spirit unbound. My weapons, they floated and spun all around. I stood tall, I stood strong, my hair flying wild, my eyes raging fire, all knowing I smiled. My rapists were blind. Their lust drew them there. They saw none of my power. They looked through the glare. In an instant, my energy grew wider than space. It burnt the dark matter. It plundered with craze. The temple bells rang. I danced wild and untamed. Foul carcass beneath me, denigrated, defamed. I walked out of my room, child, woman again. Never, ever will they touch me. They're dead, those bad men.
I don't know. There's fear in the pit of my stomach. Listening to you.
Somehow flowed from Purobi's poem on the birth and the girl child. That happened just spontaneously. It wasn't planned. So we move on to Lakshmi now.
Hi again. My poetry is about the train journey. So I'm going to see, we used to travel a lot for our holidays on train as we were growing up. So I would enjoy that, and I would always look forward to the journey and the destination, obviously. But the hustle and bustle of the train journey, I would observe fellow passengers. Some were very friendly, some were reserved, some guarded their baggage all the time, some talkative, some funny. I realized that life itself is like this. And that led me to write the short poem. People come into our life for a reason, for a season, and sometimes they leave as suddenly as they appeared. But they always share a very small part of the journey with us. That's sometimes impactful also. So, train journey. Train journey. Some view life as a competitive tourney, while actually it is akin to a train journey. Passengers alight and depart. Some kiss goodbye and part. Others would like to stay longer, making newfound friendships grow stronger. New people enter the train at every station, bringing with them positive and negative vibration. Some carry a lot of heavy baggage, the contents of which are not easy to gauge. Others travel light and smart. That makes them definitely stand apart. Travelers judge each other by their appearance, their attire, accent, language, and coherence. It is too short a time to see beyond this. All are preoccupied and in their own bliss. Their baggage needs to be guarded. The ones with precious stuff are on high alert. The ones with no baggage are playful and overt. Little groups gradually form. Some sing, dance, and perform. Debates range from politics to religious fervors, while there are some silent observers. We can't travel beyond our destination. we need to get off when the train reaches our station. That's it.
It's a nice, light, great poem.
Yeah, really wonderful to end it in a light vein and very nicely done.
Brought back memories.
That's true, Cash.
Now, if there are people who want to say something, then one by one, we have time for that. So we can do that. Who would like to go first? You can either raise your hand or write on the chat.
Actually, we have some time. They can come and speak.
Exactly. They can say on the chat that they would like to speak. So that way we can identify them. Or they can raise their hand. But, I think we have more people than the screen can permit. So we can't see a few people. Jija, I think, always makes a start in these things.
No, I thought I'll just make some closing remarks sort of thing. I think I'll go first. I'll go first. Yeah, somebody is wanting to say something.
You must say something.
Actually, it was, we did want to say something and then Aggie said something, but really it was so wonderfully curated. I think just even the flow of the poems, I know Rukmini, you said that it was unintended, but just the themes that rose to the front as we listened to the poems. And so great selection and I think so evocative. And I, for one, would very much like to
blah blah blah
seep them into myself, which is why I'm being so quiet. I'd like some more time before I can come and have profound remarks to make, but I think it was just really lovely. Thank you.
Blah blah blah.
Yumna, your son made the profound remarks.
They were also profound in their own way. Yeah.
Can I put in a word?
Yes, Maya.
It was a wonderful experience. Congratulations to Rukmani and Lakshmi. Most of the poems were very profound, very moving, especially Anuradha's and Rukmani's. Then Mr. Anil's poem. Actually, of course, it is difficult to recollect everything and say, but then most of the poems were very moving. And I only wish if every girl will have this energy after Navratri to combat the evil forces, as Rukmani put in her poem. Anyway, wonderful experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. So, if nobody is there.
Yeah, can I?
Yeah, yes, please, Shadi.
Yes, I think here I would really like to point out that the recitation workshop, I think, has really brought in a lot of change in the recitation, the tone, the expressions, and it shows how these workshops can really influence and bring about great changes in this group. And I'm so glad that we had Ipsita come in and take this workshop for us. And Purobi had really brought in some details, technical details on a recitation. That has really, really shown a difference in the group. I just wanted to point that out.
Good evening. Can I talk 2 words here?
Yeah, yes.
This is Chandrika. I'm a very loyal listener to all these poems and reader too. I still don't have the courage to express in words now at the moment as a poet. But this small, short session has really impacted me in a way that that I didn't expect, first of all. Another thing is, what I feel now is I felt that, you see those sounds when you see when you hear something, you see the sound structure that comes on the, technically it comes, right? That ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs like that. These emotions were like that. Every poem had sometimes it's so touching that is immensely, it brings a kind of resonance, which is with the experience, like what her name is, Rugmani had expressed. At the same time, this lightness in Lakshmi's poem of the train journey, but everything, they gel into a sort of one journey, which has been a very important fact here. And I loved all the poems, and especially the ones that are really, as Shaji said, something that has been really, recited. That is very, very nice. And Ipsita's workshop has been very impactful, I feel. So thank you so much for a lovely 45 minutes of great poetry.
Thank you, Chandrika.
Shaila wanted to say something. Shaila?
Kala?
No, I was just saying, I read poems, last night, but listening to the poets read their own poems makes so much of a difference. I just love it. Their emotion comes through, and I just enjoyed it. Thank you so much for doing this. I loved it. It was wonderful. Thank you, ArtMantram, as always. This is wonderful. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Shaila. Really wonderful. So, thanks a lot, Chandrika. Very, very Chandrika, Maya, Shaila, Shaji, all who spoke, responding to the poems. My dear friends, my duty is actually to close this thing and to thank you. What an enriching, impactful afternoon, as some of you have already mentioned. Thanks a lot, Rugmani. You have really worked hard, and the curation is perfect, I should say. From a what is your destiny?
Just a minute, Jija. Can I request everyone to mute? Only the speaker speaks. Please go ahead, Jija.
Yeah. So Rugmani deserves all praise, and everybody could clap. She really deserves our standing ovation, I must say.
Jija, please share this ovation with Lakshmi. She worked with me hand in hand.
Yes. Sorry. Lakshmi, Rugmani, and Lakshmi, standing applause for both of you. Sorry, most of the people are muted. Otherwise, it would have been, I'm sure, a crashing applause. Thank you, all the poets. Really, you have selected such poems. You and Rugmani and Lakshmi together, which, as Molu also, as Yumna, thank you, Yumna, for your comments. I forgot to mention you. It just, from a sort of a destiny and fatalistic kind of a thing, it just takes you onto a crescendo when you're really trembling. You've got, like I've already said, butterflies in the stomach. And then that lovely denouement is really wonderfully put together, and wonderful poems. And this opening session of ArtMantram, as Art Cafe, truly validates and underscores why we created Writers' Table and Poetry Society. As it has been mentioned here, the workshops, like Shaji mentioned, Ipsita's workshop, and Ipsita and Purobi together had put together a very nice workshop, and I'm sure we have all benefited from that. And I really can't say it if each of the poets have performed so beautifully because of that, but I'm sure some element of that workshop has rubbed off on them also. The recitation, the presentation was superlative. And this group, this Writers' Table, have helped us explore our individual identity and identity of others, concepts, beliefs, experiences. Everything comes to the fore and flows out as sometimes as hot as lava and sometimes as gentle as a stream, mountain stream, I must say. We have been having great fun in any case this past year at the writer's table. There we share our thoughts, emotions, our love of the language and expression, honing both. I think everybody who spoke here, who came up, are members of the writer's table, except perhaps Shaila. So you all know what I'm saying is the absolute truth. And this group has been, this writer's table, thank you, Yumna, for conceiving it initially. This has been though you have been marked absent several times, this has been a clearing for our vulnerability, where there is unconditional love and support. We do showcase new voices and celebrate individuality. And like the train journey, which Lakshmi wrote about, poetry has a power to bring people close together in a very short time. In addition to fostering love of language and the mere sharing of poetry, the creative muse, we've all become, we haven't met at all anybody, but we have all become so close, and we evaluate everybody's work. I got such a bamboo from Shaji the other day for my reciting one of my poems. Yeah, it's so beautiful. You know how you get the feedback, and very creative, very proactive feedback, not a critical comment. I love that. And today's poets, they are all very gentle, quiet people, unassuming, and you will never know that such beautiful creativity can flow out of them. But the powerful poetry, the impactful poetry that flowed from their pen is truly awesome. I don't think anybody will have any difference of opinion. Pavitra Krishnamurthy started off keeping an account. We are all a little bit broken because that's the price we pay. We grate off every ideal notion in living from day to day. I could fully relate to that. This and other things. I'm just taking one or two lines, but you know, the feeling, the what do you call, the fatality of the situation. Haven't we all faced it? What Pavitra had captured in her poem. Anil Kumar Parat, Coffee Gone Cold, this beautiful poem. I loved it. And I'm sure we have time and again, not merely sipped from many a cup of coffee gone cold, but from life itself. Yeah, whoever we meet, they say, I do remember reading Celestine Prophecy a long time ago, there are no coincidences. I'm sure Rugmani will also vouch for this, being from Art of Living. There are no coincidences. We are all meant to be a family, but we are all apart, strewn apart in Delhi, in Kerala, in Chennai, all over. But we have become totally a family. And yes, Anil was talking about one of his loves. I loved that. But yeah, it rings true, really. And Anuradha Nalapat, I have read her grandmother was, I'm sure, Kala, Chandrika, and Maya also would have felt the echo. It was really, like a continuing stream from her grandmother. I really loved it. And, it's just, you're so confused. It's like you're in a castle of mirrors, you know, with many tricks, really wonderfully done. An impending deluge of dances into existence, an impending deluge dances into existence, some expressions, someone, and yet no one else but me. We realize that. Someone's guilt morphing into everybody's shame. So many elements echo and re-echo in our souls, I'm sure, for all of you also. And Purobi Chowdhury, when I read the poem first, I think about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I was so stunned. And now listening to her again, it was really, really, as I mentioned, you know, tremors passed through me when she talked about the rape by the cries in the night, the rape by the mountain stream. And when she says, before we were writers, we lived somebody else's dream. Maybe I am saying it too. All of us, it applies to all of us, I felt when I read it. Before we were writers, we lived somebody else's dream. A father, a brother, a husband, a mother, a son, a daughter. Till one day we picked up the pen, no day was ever the same again. Of course, very powerful lines ensues, but thoughts crashing through the floodgates of fear unabashed, cascading from the depths of our being. How beautiful is that? Telling our story like it was. For the very first time, we were seeing the unfolding of our being. Don't we all have a, veil of tears? Yes, it is so touching and it is so true. Rugmani Prabhakar, oh my God, the night the stage was set, she was apologetic. She said that she worked in the development sector, but so empathetically, so one with these people, she writes in first person, the temple bells rang, I danced wild and untamed, foul carcass beneath me denigrated, defamed. I walked out of my room, child, woman again. Never ever will they touch me. They are dead, those bad men. It is intense. It is intense. And I'm sure all of you were speechless for a moment when she finished. Lakshmi's was, I hope I touched upon everybody. Lakshmi's was a very beautiful, a cheerful, as she is, playful, wonderful experience of a train journey. We are actually writing stories. Many of us are writing stories about locomotives. And I just remembered that. And also, I mentioned already that like in a train journey, for the past many months, we have all bonded together at the writer's table. I'd like to close with a suggestion. Like in England, they have NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, which we followed and wrote one novella. National Poetry Day, I was looking up when this was going on in March 21st in England. Why don't we also create our own or follow them? Rukmini, a thought for you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jija. Rukmini, over to you for the closing remarks.
No, I think Jija's given the best closing remarks.
Yeah, she has done a great job.
Thank you very much, everybody who attended also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jija. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thank you, everybody. Really enjoyed the afternoon. Beautiful.
Reminder for tomorrow, please do it again at 5 o'clock. We'll have it.
Jija, can you hear me, Jija?
Thank you.
Jija?
Thank you.
good evening,
Mr.
Mr.
This is the chairman of our trust, Mr. Chiranjeev Singh. Sir, were you there, sir? Did you listen to the poem, sir?
Yes, very nice poems and very nice program, and presentation was very moving. And thank you very much. You see, there is art and there is mantram, and mantram is always recited. So taking up poetry as part of ArtMantram's activities is very, very appropriate. And I think this would continue. And what I suggest is that this session is English poems. And next session we can have Indian language poems and, alternate the two and continue. So let more mantras be recited.
Thank you very much.
Said. Beautifully said.
Yeah, we are really honored that Mr. Chiranjeev Singh could join us. He is a very respected member of the society, former ambassador to UNESCO, and most important, chairman of our board of trustees, along with Lakshmi Ishwar, I'm sure you know, is one of the trustees. We are really honored that Mr. Chiranjeev Singh could also tune in, though I gave him the link and I had briefed him just this afternoon. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in. Yes, over to Rugmani, sorry.
We are done now, I think, Jija. We've had a lovely closing from you. Next Saturday, we have our prose writers coming and sharing their stories. So if you've enjoyed poetry today, please come and listen to our prose next Saturday on the 22nd of January. Looking forward to seeing you all. Stay blessed, take care, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rugmani.
Tomorrow, 5 p.m. again, we have one more session.
Yeah. Thank you, Rugmani, Lakshmi, Jija.
Thank you, Purobi. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Had a great time. Thank you.
See you all tomorrow.
Tomorrow we see each other again.
What is tomorrow? Yeah. What is tomorrow? Please announce, Baba.
Tomorrow is a presentation of heirloom saris.
That means people are going to wear them?
Yes.
Yes. It'll be lovely. It'll be like a play. It'll be like a drama.
They will tell the story behind the heirloom.
Very nice. Very nice.
Looking forward. Yeah, can't wait for that. Beautiful. Yeah.
I hope it will be.
Everybody.
No, it'll be a great evening. So please do join in.
Yes, 5 p.m. Sharp.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you.